There is some smoke out there that if Myles gets traded, Denzel Ward could be traded as well. So we're going to unpack all of this on today's episode. But let me get your thoughts on this. If the Browns trade Garrett, should they trade Denzel Ward as well? Scroll on down. Let me know while the intro rolls. You want my answer to that question? It is yes. I don't like this response. I don't like this answer, but we need to come to terms here that if the Browns are going to trade Myles Garrett, they are going to be entering a rebuild. There is no other way around it. And I do not want to see this team half-ass a rebuild where they still feel like they are a competitive contending team. No, you are not. If Garrett is gone, you are not a contender. And you're barely even a contender right now, if at all. If you are in that belief, which I think with the bridge quarterback, the Browns could be a solid team. We just saw the Vikings win 14 games with Sam Darnold, so it happens. Case Keenum in the Vikings, Nick Foles in the Eagles. Like, you've seen some runs from unexpected quarterbacks, but no. If the Browns move on from Garrett, I think you have to blow it to smithereens. I was at a, cooking class with my fiance last night, and we're making tiramisu, and I get a notification from Mary Kay that Denzel Ward tells Cleveland.com that if the Browns trade Myles Garrett, he'll question whether or not he wants to stay. Side note, tiramisu, actually kind of easy to make and one of my favorites. Now, here's what the warden said. The request has a huge impact, honestly. I want to play with Myles Garrett. He's a Hall of Fame player. I came in the league. He was on the team, and that's my guy. So I've been talking to him, and I know he said he wants out, but you've just got to hear where he's coming from. He wants to win, so we'll see what the near future holds. I want to be in Cleveland. I want to win. I'm definitely keeping an eye on what Myles has going on and what he's doing. I'm just interested in seeing how everything plays out. Like I said, I want to play with Myles Garrett. It's starting to fall apart. I don't know what good news I can give when it comes to the Browns holding on to these key players. Myles went on a media tour yesterday at Radio Row at the Super Bowl just to campaign himself for other teams. If there was any glimmer or sliver of hope that he might change his mind, that went down the crapper yesterday on the Rich Eisen show when he asked him, so Myles, what do you want to have happen next? And he says, verbatim, a trade. He is not interested in a new contract. If he wanted a new contract, I don't think it would have been that difficult for him to ask for one and get one. But now he has taken the genie out of the bottle, the cat's out of the bag. He has made it very clear and very public that he wants to play for a contending team, and he does not believe the Browns are a contending team. He is not aligned with the front office on the direction they are headed. I don't see a way they can turn this thing around. Andrew Berry has been very adamant that they are not interested in trading Garrett away, but that could change after hearing some of the comments that Myles said and you not wanting to have him be a hostage or a prisoner on your roster. So if you're trading Garrett, open the floodgates. Just embrace the tank, embrace the rebuild. Don't try and fight it. There are some other valuable players on this roster that could get traded. Denzel Ward, who we'll talk about. Greg Newsome, another name that I think could get traded kind of regardless of Myles. David Njoku is a name to keep an eye on as well. He's already requested a trade once from Cleveland, so why not request it again? Now, if you're wondering what the Browns could get for these two players, this is a little bit of a conservative approach. That way I don't get your hopes wildly out of control and super high, and then you're disappointed. But I think you could get this for these guys here. For Myles, I think you get 2 firsts and a third-round draft pick. I understand that you may want a little bit more than that. We're talking about the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to tell you that other teams are not going to give up three first-round draft picks for a 29-year-old defensive player who's had a couple of injuries the last few seasons. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. You can be mad at me all you want, but that is the ultimate truth serum right there. I would be very surprised. I would be very happy if the Browns got 3 first-round picks, but I am not counting on them getting 3 first-round picks. I think 2 first and a third-round draft pick is more likely. Maybe that third is a second. We'll see if there's a bidding war that gets created, but this is a conservative, rough idea. As for Denzel, I think you're getting a second-round draft pick. I don't believe a team will offer up a first-round draft pick for a cornerback that's making $20.1 million, who's had a long history of concussions. Marshawn Lattimore got traded from the Saints to the Commanders for a third-round draft pick. I think Denzel's better than Marshawn, so I have him going for a second. But that gives you a rough blueprint of, hey, what do quality starting cornerbacks go for? Well, Lattimore went for a third. The Wardens had 2 interceptions minimum every single year of his NFL career, so I think a second is probably about accurate for him. He's also creeping up towards that 30 years old mark. He still has some very good years left in him, I think. Look how well Darius Slay is playing into his mid-30s at this point here. So that's a rough idea as to what you could get for these players. We're going to talk about what they could do with those picks in just a moment here, but we are closing in on 41,000 subscribers, so if you are looking for a Browns YouTube channel that will keep you up to speed on all the trade buzz throughout Super Bowl week and then going into free agency, hop aboard, help us get 136 more subs to reach 41K. Now, here are the Browns 2025 draft picks, the valuable ones. They have a first, a second, a third, and an additional third from the Bills via the Amari Cooper trade. We're talking about 4 picks in the top 100. Some people put a formula, like a number assignment to each draft pick, and then they add up all the numbers. And by a lot of people's notes and math, the Browns have the best draft capital in the 2025 draft. But just imagine, and I'm not saying this as how much I would love for this to happen, but just accepting, I think, what's going to be the inevitable, which is if Myles gets dealt, the Warden's probably going next. And here's what you could get. You could have a first-round pick via your own second overall, an additional first-round pick somewhere from some team with Myles getting traded, 2 second-round draft picks, your own, which is pick number 33, and a second-rounder you get from a Denzel trade, and then 3 third-round draft picks. So we're talking 7 picks in the top 100, which I was curious if that would be an NFL record. Actually, last year, the Arizona Cardinals had 7 picks in the top 100, but they had a lot of third-round draft picks. I think they had 4 third-round draft picks. So the Browns would have, I think, better draft ammunition than the Arizona Cardinals' 7 picks in the top 100 last year. The Lions, the year before that, they had 2 firsts and 2 seconds. And I think this is the team you should try and look at as a beacon of hope, like a positive thing to hold on to here. And that is what the Lions were able to do in the 2023 draft when they had 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. Jahmyr Gibbs, stud. Jack Campbell, starter. And a quality starter, too. Sam Laporta, Pro Bowler. Brian Branch, one of the best safeties already. Hendon Hooker, Broderick Martin, not big contributors. But you quickly saw how the Lions used all that draft ammunition and got right to the top of the mountain. I know right now it seems bleak and it seems really distant till the Browns could be good again, and I understand that, but you saw what the Lions were able to do, and it wasn't just those guys alone. They had a lot of other important pieces, and the Browns have to acquire those pieces as well, but if you want a good jump start on getting yourself back on track, the 2023 Lions draft class, I think, could show a blueprint for how you can get right, not even back into it, but go from 0 to 100 with a really good draft class. And having 7 picks in the top 100, that right there is a cornerstone for getting your franchise back on track. I've got more to say on this subject in just a second here, but I do have to give a special shout out to Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. You see, Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. When you toggle this feature, it'll show you the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, they offer the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. When it comes to these trades being, more than just ideas and rumors, it means Andrew Berry would have to make a complete 180 because he was absolute after the season ended in his final press conference for the 2024 season that he has no interest in trading away their cornerstone pieces. He said it verbatim. I do expect there to be some turnover on the roster, but the idea that we would get rid of some of our cornerstone players, I don't necessarily see that as a viable path. We are about to have a big stare-off, a big standoff too. Myles Garrett wants a trade, and it doesn't look like money is going to persuade him to stay. Andrew Berry, who knew that Garrett was going to go public with this trade request in advance, still spoke to the media and said on numerous occasions, we're not trading Myles. So someone's going to have to cave. And once you trade Garrett, it's going to be a complete feeding frenzy for all your other star players to request a trade and for other teams to start making calls. And now Berry has to walk back what he said after the season about not looking to trade cornerstone pieces. Now, I would be naive if I did not bring up the financial side of this. So, if you're wondering what it could cost the Browns to move on from some of these players, if Cleveland trades Ward before June 1st, they would take on a $30.3 million dead cap hit. That is a good chunk of change. The Browns have always operated as the cap is a myth. They restructure contracts. They've never let the salary cap get in the way of them wanting to do something. The Cowboys, for example, how many times have they said, we wanted to get him, but we had to pay Dak and CD, so we couldn't make that signing? No, the Cowboys do operate within the salary cap. The Browns look at it as liquid, right? It doesn't have walls. It's foam. You can move it around. You can extend it. If they really need to make a trade, I don't expect the salary cap to get in the way of it. Now, if they were to trade Denzel after June 1st, they could take that $30 million dead cap hit and split it over 2025 and 2026. And they would get $14 million in cap savings. You'd also get, the team acquiring Ward would only take on the remaining money on his contract, which is usually the base salary. So whenever we're talking trades, don't look at the cap hit for what the next team is acquiring. Look at the base salary and any bonuses that have not been paid out yet. But what you can't do and what you're probably asking is, can we trade Ward before June 1st but designate it as a post-June 1 trade? No. You can do that with releases. You can designate someone as a post-June 1 release, but actually release them in March. You can't do that with a trade. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble. That's not a possibility. Same goes for Myles Garrett. He's got a $36.2 million dead cap hit coming the Browns' way if he is dealt before June 1. There are no cap savings to be had. Whereas if he gets traded after June 1, well, there are some cap savings to be had. Here's Denzel Ward's, and for Myles, it's $5 million. But the pros and cons to this are very important here. The pro to trading him after June 1st is it's a lot easier financially, and you do get a slimmer of cap relief. The con is you don't get any draft picks for 2025. You can't trade him before the draft, get the picks, but not actually have the trade go through until after June 1. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news once again. So now if you're Andrew Berry, you got to ask yourself, all right, it'd be financially easier if we traded them after June 1st. But then we're only going to get 2026 and 2027 draft picks. Am I even going to have a job this time next year? Will I even be making the picks in 2026? I gave this example on a few videos ago of when the Raiders GM Reggie McKenzie traded Khalil Mack to Chicago. You want to know how many picks Reggie McKenzie used? 0. Traded Mack in August, in September, and was fired in January. And the next GM got all those picks to use. So unless Barry has a really good relationship and a lot of belief and faith and trust with Jimmy Haslam and ownership group that he is not going to get fired no matter what, I don't see a way Barry trades these guys after June 1 for picks he never gets to see himself. I think there's going to be a lot of motivation for him to get this done and get picks for 2025 that can help the 2025 Browns, help them win some games, and help keep Andrew Barry employed for another offseason. I also want to share one more quote from Ward, speaking with Mary Kay and the Cleveland.com team. When talking about the quarterback position, he said, "It's tough. During the season, we were having multiple guys at the quarterback position rotating in and out. It's hard to win in this league when you don't have that quarterback position solidified and the guy that's really taking control of the team." Read between the lines here, and the lines are this far apart. It is very public and clear to me that the leaders of this team know what's going on at the quarterback position, which is Deshaun Watson is probably 99% chance never going to take another snap for Cleveland again. I expect the Browns to keep him on the PUP list for the entire 2025 season and then release him in March of 2026 as a post-June 1 release. So his time in Cleveland will come to an end. He will have played 19 games. He will have made $230 million guaranteed, and he will likely not play for another team ever again, because what team at that point in the 2026 offseason wants to take on Deshaun Watson, all that baggage, when he hasn't even played good football since 2020, which will at that point have been 5-6 years ago? I doubt you find any suitors. So when the leaders of this team, like Garrett and Ward, are publicly talking about the quarterback position being a deficiency for this team, they clearly have some idea from ownership and the head coaching staff and whatnot of what's going on there. And it's Watson's not coming back. Let's wrap up today's episode by picking a card. Dylan, once again, rocking and rolling with me. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Summer?
The nines worked yesterday, so I'll go 9 of hearts.
9 of hearts? 6 of spades is haunting me. I'm going to say, my first guess is Jack of hearts, but I'm going to stick to the process. I'm going to audible to 3 of clubs. No. King of clubs. King of clubs. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will be back with probably another video today if we get some more news, or tomorrow at the latest.